A saying attributed to many sources is writing about music is like dancing about architecture. Well, why not dance about architecture? For that matter, why not write music about paintings, as did two of the composers featured in Virginia Symphony's opening concert of the 2012-2013 season? The concert at Chrysler Hall September 8th began with Paul Hindemith's symphony Mantis der Maler, which preceded his opera of the same name about the 16th century German painter Matisse Grunewald. The symphony has three gorgeous movements based on Grunewald's Isenheim altarpiece. The first, angelic chorus, began with soft trombones, then flitting strings brought to mind angels with their instruments darting like moths to entertain the infant Jesus. The trombones returned, strong and mellow, not brash. In the second movement, Entombment, Deborah Wendell's cross's silvery flute shone with hushed and poignant sounds. The third movement, The Temptation of St. Anthony, pictured a saint assailed by demons in an overwhelming attack on the senses, punctuated by single-instrument voices and overwhelmed again. Eerie high harmonics in the violins continued to disturb as other sections played, notably a rich melodic viola section. Whirling strings and woodwinds and a big brass statement brought the work to a vigorous end, affirming the power of the painter's art. Next came the bravura Canadian pianist John Kimura Parker, playing Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini. After a brief introduction, Rachmaninoff states the original theme from Paganini's 24th Violin Caprice. The 24 variations then turn the theme upside down, inside out, backwards, all with equally striking variations in tempo and keys. Parker's execution was dazzling and intense, from quick lightness to crashing chords, from slow, solemn bass chords to the lushly romantic, film score-ish 18th variation, and ended, surprisingly, with what Parker has called a wink and a question mark. Under Joanne Folletta's crisp baton, the orchestra was fully engaged in the work's demands. Parker exclaimed, "It is so much fun to play that piece, and to play it with such extraordinary musicians." His encore was what he called our high school theme, the driving rhythm of Billy Joel's Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. Many of the audience could have sung along with him, and I could just make out harpist Barbara Chapman smiling with delight. Back to paintings. The second half featured Modest Mussorgsky's wonderfully familiar Pictures at an Exhibition, paired with all too brief glimpses of paintings and sketches by the artist Victor Hartmann on the overhead screens. Fortunately, you can Google them and view them at your leisure. Hartmann, who died young, was a friend of Mussorgsky. His work was exhibited the year after his death. Many arrangers have tackled the original solo piano work, but Ravel's masterful arrangement seems to have become the gold standard for orchestras. There are 10 musical pictures in different keys and meters in the collection, which began with a promenade in an odd mixed meter, perhaps to depict the composer wandering through a gallery. The lurching movements of Nomus suggested Hartmann's lost design for a nutcracker. The placid promenade recurred. Then came the old castle with sensuous woodwinds floating on the air. The light, cheerful Tuileries recalled children playing in the Parisian gardens. The dark, ponderous march of Bidlow evoked a dray drawn by oxen. It got quieter and quieter. The ballet of the chicks in their shells was utterly charming, light, scurrying, onomatopoetic, and richly comic, conducted with little flicks of Folletta's fingers. The portrayal of Samuel Goldenberg and Schmoyle was marked by frenetic trumpet, razzy and disturbing. The bright scherzo of Limoges led into the somber catacombs, a self-portrait of the artist visiting the Paris catacombs. The ninth picture, The Hut on Fowl's Legs, incorporated Russian legends of the grotesque witch Baba Yaga with overtones of fairy tale weirdness in the forest. The grand finale, The Great Gate at Kiev, brings down the house every time. Hartmann's design for a huge gate in ancient Russian style was to commemorate the Tsar's escape from an assassination attempt. It was never built, possibly because the Tsar did not wish to be reminded. But oh, what music! Its great triumphant pealing of bells began in the strings of all places, and as the chimes tolled, the sound grew and grew, grand music on a grand scale, grandly played by a crackerjack orchestra. Who could possibly ask for anything more? From the other side of the Footlights, I'm M.D. Ridge.